All right, so next thing we need to do is cut all the joints and all the pieces. We've got the May, we just need to cut the joints in them now. So just to see where we are, I'm going to take a quick move, M for move. And I'm going to click on that back. I'm just going to move it out of the way real quick. And notice there's no holes cut for any of this. So let's do that first. So I'm going to cancel that. And I'm going to do a combine tool. I'm going to click on the back here. And then that's my target body. So that's what I'm going to cut. And what I'm going to cut it with is going to be this side piece, right? And it says join, but I want to cut. And I want to keep the tools when I'm done. Otherwise, all the sides will disappear. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on this side and the top and the bottom piece. So I think those are all the pieces that actually cut into the back. And so I'm going to say, okay. And now when I move this away, it's so cool how fast and easy it is to cut the second joint of a joint. But if I click M for move and I move this back, all of a sudden, all the edges and everything is cut. And we even have little pass-through holes for the extra long tabs there. So that is all ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to hit cancel. And next thing I'm going to do is cut this one right here with all four walls, and the back, the front, all the walls get cut into this one, I think. So I'm going to go to combine tool. I'm going to select this one because I'm cutting that one, and I'm going to cut with this one, this one, this one, and this one, the outside one, the outside one, and if I don't want to do it through here, I can actually just grab bodies from here. I'm cutting this top shelf, so the bottom shelf I don't need, but I need that back interior wall. I need the front interior wall, I need the right front. So all of those are going to cut different joints into that top one. So I'm going to say okay. And yeah, that looks good so far. And now I need to cut this side piece with the bottom piece. So now if I move this off of here, whoops, got the wrong one. Do M for move. I'm going to select this side piece here. I'm just going to drag it out of the way real quick. You can see now that I've got 3 of the edges here. I don't have any holes for the bottom, but I have everything else cut for these 3 sides are cut as well. All right, so I'm going to come back to cancel. I'm going to do a combine tool. I'm going to cut this one, and I'm going to use that one. Click OK. I need to cut this front one with the bottom as well. Let me actually turn it. There we go. So I'm going to combine. I'm going to say cut the front one, use the bottom one. And say OK. Yep, that works. And then I'm going to come here and I'm going to say combine. I'm going to cut this one using that one. Say OK. And I'm going to combine one more and I'm going to cut this one using that one. And then I'm going to say OK. Awesome. Now the last thing I need to do is cut the interior walls into the bottom one. So I'm going to cut the bottom one using all 4 of the interior walls. So that's all of those. And I'm going to click OK. Now what you do is go through and check each piece to make sure that it is actually cut properly. If you make a mistake at this point and you don't actually cut holes for something, you're going to have to try to fix it on the fly and like sand stuff off and cut things, and it's a real nuisance. It's way better to spend a little bit of time right now just checking to make sure we got them all. So I've got my holes across the bottom for those tabs. I've got all those tabs, those. That one looks good. All 4 sides look good. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn that one off. So that's the left side. Oh, right side maybe. Oh, it's the left side. It's left, it is right side. So it's that one. So that one's good. Now I'm going to move this front piece out of the way. And so I can see it's got a hole here. The tab's there, the tab's there. It's got a place for the tab there. And that one and this other side one was good. So cancel. And then this one is going to get hidden. And I'm going to check this one next. I'm just going to go through each one until they're all hidden. I'm just extruding that on accident. So I'm going to do the move tool. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to pull it out of the way. And again, there's a hole for that one. Tabs, tabs, good. Cancel, and that one gets hidden. This one's going to come out next. So I'm going to do a move command. I'm actually going to rotate so I can see it. I'm going to move this one. And there's the 2 holes for the bottom. And then there's 2 holes for the top right there. And so that one's good. That was not that one. That was that one. Move. Get. Whoops. Cancel that. I'm going to move this one out of the way. 2 tabs on the top and bottom. I can see the 2 holes right there. And then the 2 holes right there. That one's good. And that goes that one. Whoops, move, and I'm going to click on this one to move. That's that right side, and it's got tabs on the 3 there, holes there, good, and the front was good, so cancel, this one goes away. Move this one out of the way, let me rotate it back around. Yeah, so I see the 2 holes up there, the 2 holes down there, and then the floor. Cancel. I know this is time consuming, but let me tell you, it is so worth it. I have built a couple different things now where I screwed up and didn't cut the joints properly. And you've got to kind of start over and go back and redo a bunch of work. So doing a little bit now to make sure that you're all squared away is so worth it. Especially if you find something you forgot, you're going to save yourself huge amounts of trouble. All right, so the rest of these I've already checked. So they're all good actually. And so now I'm ready to rock and roll. So last thing I want to do for the build, well, actually I'm going to turn this construction plane off because it's kind of obnoxious to have that orange plane right there. I can always turn it back on later if I want to. Last thing I'm going to do is, I don't like the idea of the bottle sitting inside of a hexagon hole. So I'm going to actually hide everything but the top, and I'm going to put a circle and extrude a circle down to fill it in there. And I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to hide everything but the top shelf. I'm going to go to the top here. And I want to rotate around so it just looks better for me this way. And I'm going to hit a quick drawing on here. All right. Now I'm going to draw a circle in the middle, but I'm not going to really care if it's centered or anything. I'm just going to get a circle in there. And in fact, I'm going to hit escape to get out of the tool. And I'm just going to put it, whoops, just in there. I don't want it overlapping anything. Just in there anywhere is fine. So one thing I'm going to do now is what I want this to do is I want this circle to just barely touch these walls. So it should be like circle, barely touch, barely touch, barely touch, barely touch. And we have a word for barely touch, and it's called tangent. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the tangent tool. I'm going to say I want the circle to be tangent to this one. So see, now it's stuck to this wall. And I'm going to say I want also tangent to this one. And I want it tangent to this one. And once I do the third one, notice that now it resized the circle so it could hit all 3 of these sides, which means now it hits every side tangent. So it turned black, so it means it's fully constrained and ready to rock and roll. Now the other thing I wanted to do, remember we had this weird thing. I'm going to turn the front on real quick, the front wall. So the right front I'm going to turn on, and the right front one, the other front I'm going to turn on. We had this weird thing where we had this little excess piece we said we're going to deal with. So we're going to deal with it now. So to deal with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a projection. So I want to know where this wall ends and where this wall ends. So I'm going to project those 2 surfaces onto here. And when I rotate to the top now, I can see I need to clip off that little part. But I actually want to run a line all the way up to the circle, straight up, so I can fill in this gap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to now extrude and create some material in all these gaps so that all that's left over is a circle hole so that the bottle will slide just nicely down in there, and you won't even know that it's a hexagon underneath. So to do that, I'm going to grab a line tool and I'm going to go straight from this corner right here, and I'm going to go straight up. See how it says 90 degrees to the left? I'm going to tab over. I'm going to hit enter on that 90 degrees. That's going to give me a line like this. So now it's guaranteed to be 90. The next thing I'm going to do is just do a coincident tool and say, I want this point at the end, now that it's blue, to touch that. Okay. And then we'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to say from here, straight up 90 and go there. That time I didn't change the number 90. You don't have to hit enter on it if you don't want to. It works fine that way. And now what I'm going to do is just go through and extrude this. Now here's the part I want to extrude. I want to leave the circle as a whole, so I'm just going to extrude all these spaces around it. And I'm going to extrude down. So right now up is positive, so I'm going to go do negative because I want to go down. And I'm going to do thickness times 2, and that's going to fill in that spot. I'm going to say enter. Oops, except I actually ended up merging these two faces on there as well. So I'm going to go back and right click on this, edit feature, and then before I go to extrude it, I'm going to actually turn off these two front pieces so they're not touching when they get extruded. Otherwise they'll join them because I'm doing a join command right now. And then I'm just going to say OK at that point. Now I've got a nice circular hole here. What's going on there? Oh, I see. That's where the joint is. And underneath, I've got this look. So this is how it's going to cut out for me. So you can see that's going to be the bottom shelf. Awesome. You can also see the reason we made it 2 thickness is because now all these weird looking little holes that are in weird angles of the circle aren't going to be visible from the top up here. So that is, oh, we need to cut off that one little bit. So that's the last thing we have to do is cut off that little bit right there. And we're just going to go down here, draw a line right there, straight down. And again, over here, straight down. We're going to extrude this one and that one. And we're just going to pull them all the way through. Okay. Now that should be ready. So let's turn everything back on and see what it looks like. Oh wow, that looks really nice and sharp. I'm digging that a lot. Okay, so I think that's done with the main design. One thing I want to do left though is I do want to round these corners. And I always wait to round the corners for the very end, because once you round the corner using the fillet tool, you can't find the corner very easy anymore. So I always wait till I'm totally done with everything before I start rounding and filleting things. So I want to round these 2 sharp corners right here. So all I'm going to do is come over here and grab the fillet tool. I'm going to grab this outside edge and this outside edge, and I'm going to give it some fillet. And I think a 0.3 is usually pretty good. Well, maybe a 0.5 because it's a big piece. There we go. That looks good. Now it's nice and rounded over. So that adds a few things. It's like aesthetically it looks nice, but it also, if you have a sharp corner on the edge of a piece of plywood like this, it's going to get chipped and dinged and messed up easily. If you got to round it, it's a much stronger corner. All right, so that does it for the build. That is the build. We need to now, well, actually, let's do an appearance. So push the A key. That'll open the appearance panel, and we can actually assign some colors and see what it looks like to some different material. So you can use paint here. You can grab glossy or a metallic flake or whatever you want. You can play around with what's in here. If there's a little download arrow, it just takes a second. You click on it and download. It's not on your computer yet. And there's the difference. You can play with colors. So you say, hey, I want to make this like a gold color. You want to paint it. You can kind of see what it looks like. You just drag it and drop it right on there, and it'll show you what the paint color would look like. Okay, so the only thing that won't happen is this outside edge is actually not going to be yellow. It's going to be black where it got burned on all those little tabs. So it'll actually look pretty cool to have different colors on it. But we can paint the plywood before we cut it on the laser, and then the only thing that'll be black are just the edges of the plywood, and the faces will all be that color. Although at the end you could go back and paint the whole thing one color as well. All right, so that's how to do that part. What I'm going to do is turn mine. I'm going to show mine as wood, and I find that bamboo gives us a pretty nice sort of woodish look. And I can add this feature one at a time like this, Or I can come over here and select, by holding on the Shift key, all of my objects and then dropping the thing onto all of them, and it'll instantly turn it to wood looking. So now I've got this sort of wood look holder, which is kind of more like it's going to really look. Again, there'll just be black edges on all the wood. Okay. Now what's next is we need to break this down. So I'm going to close on the appearance window. We need to copy this and then break it down flat so we can use the laser cutter to cut it. So let's get going on that. I think we can do that in the next 5 or 6 minutes. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit M for move, and then I'm going to drag a box around all my objects and make sure that I have the body selected here. So I've got all 11 selected. I could have done that, or I could have shift clicked on these to highlight them as well. I'm going to click create a copy, and then I'm going to grab that copy, although man, that's in a weird location. Cancel. I'm going to click the back down to here and then do M for move. And now I've got a more traditional, doesn't really, oops. As long as I haven't moved it yet, I can create a copy. And now I'm going to move this copy back. About like yay. Okay, and then I'm going to click OK. Now notice I just made a whole bunch of new stuff. Starting right here, I made new stuff. So here I'm going to right click, create group, and I'm going to call this first group assembled. Because I'm going to leave one of them fully assembled so I can see what it is. And then I'm going to come down to here, grab the top half, drop them into the assembled. Right click, new group. I'm going to call this group flattened. You can call them whatever you'd like, but those make sense to me. And I'm going to grab this group and I'm going to drop it in the flattened. Now I can easily turn one off by just hitting one thing instead of hitting 11 things. And this one can go on and off really easily. I can open it and turn off just parts of it as well, right? So I can just turn off these pieces if I want to, but I can just do all of them with one quick off. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I don't want the assembled one. It's done. I'm fine. I'm going to recenter my drawing on the flattened one. I'm going to look at it from the front. And I'm just going to start peeling the pieces off and rotating them so that their outside edge is facing me. I'll show you what that means. So these two outside edges are already facing me. So I'm going to do a move command. I'm going to click on it. I'm just going to drag it out to the side to like there. And then click OK. Move, click on it, drag it out to like there-ish. Perfect. OK. Now, these are all in weird angles and stuff. So I'm going to have to fix those in a second. I'm going to rotate my drawing down. This is the top part of this piece, so actually I want to rotate this piece like up to make the outside piece facing me. So I'm going to do an M for move, click on the piece somewhere. Now I'm going to find the rotation ring that rotates it up towards me. I don't want to go down this way because now the bottom's facing out. I want the top facing out so that if I want to, I can add decorations to it. So 90 right there. Then I'm going to click back on the front view, so I'm flat at the front. And now I can take it and I can drag it off to where it's clear of everybody. I want a gap between all the parts when I do this. Okay, and then I'm going to hit OK. I'm fine with that. That looks great. And now I need to move these other ones. So this one right here, I'll move the sides next. So I'm going to do M for move. I'm going to click on this side. Now the side I'm looking at right here is the outside. So I want to find the rotation ring that will rotate the outside towards me so it's facing me, and I'll rotate to 90 degrees, always 90 degrees even. And then I'm going to click back on the front view, and now I can just grab the middle circle and just drag it wherever I want. I'm going to want like a little bit of spacing like that. Perfect. And click OK. Same thing for this other outside side. I'm going to rotate around so I can see it. I'm going to do the move command. Click here. This is the outside, so I want to rotate it this way. I don't want to rotate it this way, or the inside is going to be facing out. So I'm going to rotate it around this way. Now this is where I've got to kind of learn. Like this started out at 0 degrees and it's going to 90 right there. So now I'm going to hit back to the front. And I'm going to grab this center thing and I'm going to move the piece out to the side somewhere. And then click OK. It's in place now. Now these are a little trickier. I need to line them up. They're at a weird angle. Well, let's do the bottom first. So I'm going to do a move. And I'm going to click, I'm going to move the bottom piece. Now, the outside edge of this bottom piece, or the part that I want to, well, it just depends on what you want to engrave maybe later. If you want to write something down here like place bottle here, like on this surface, you would leave that facing forward. But I'm actually going to rotate the bottom up. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to do it that way just to be consistent. So I'm going to do it like this so that the bottom of the face is up. I'm going to keep going until I get to 90 right there. Click back on the front. And then I'm going to grab this center thing and I'm just going to drag it up somewhere like this. Keep your pieces below the top edge of this and above the bottom edge. So we're just going to drag them out to the sides for this one. What we need is we need a clean measurement from top to bottom, and that will give it to us. All right, so I'm going to click OK and place it there. Now I have 4 more pieces to do. So I've got this piece. Now this one's going to be a little trickier because it's at a weird angle. I don't want to just try to rotate it to get it perfect because I know that when it's at like square to it, 90 degrees is a perfect turn to get it flat. But now that it's at a weird angle, I'm not sure what that angle is. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to use the Align tool. So I'm going to click here. And I'm going to click on this one, not on one of the dots, but just in the middle here somewhere, and do the same thing for this main face back there, and it'll just flatten it out for me. So now those two are aligned, and now I just need to move. I'm going to click OK, and now I'm going to do the move command. I'm going to try and connect. There it is. I'm going to grab that one, go to the front view now, grab that center circle, and drag it off to the edge here, just so it's not overlapping. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to do the same thing for this one, except what I want is this front face out there for me. So I'm going to do an align. I'm going to say align the inside face to the back face. And I'm going to click OK. And then I'm going to do the move command. And wait, it put them, boom. This thing is actually backwards. So I'm going to do the move command because it was facing each other. So instead of rotating it and lining up like this, it just went and flapped them like that. You can see how it's actually sitting on top of it like this. So the face I want is on the back side. So I'm going to rotate this around 180 degrees. If you don't do that, it's not a big deal. You won't hardly be able to tell. Okay, go back to the front, grab this one. Then I'm going to drag it right out to the side there. Perfect. 2 more and we're done. Okay, so this one, I'm going to take this. Whoops, nope, I'm going to do the Align tool. Click on a random face here and then the face there. Click OK, do my move tool. Find it right there. Whoops, M for move. M, I'm pushing in. That was not going to work. Right there, I found it. And then I'm going to go to the front view and drag it right out and place it somewhere like that. Okay. One more align. So I'm going to do the align inside face to that one. Again, it's upside down. I can tell because it's sitting on the face of it. So I'm going to just rotate it around. Again, you don't need to do this if you don't want to. Make sure it gets to 180 if you're going all the way around. Remember, 90 degrees is like a right angle. It's like that. 180 degrees is a full turn all the way around. Going back to the front. Ooh, that doesn't look very good. And then I'm going to drag this out to the side. Boom. Okay, so now I have them all flattened, but you'll notice that they're not all on the same level. So I need to get all these back to the same level. It's a quick and easy process, but it does take a little bit of time. Well, then it's not quick, I guess. So to do this, I'm going to use the Align tool. And the only thing important to note here is that when you're doing the Align tool, let me show you how to make a mistake. So if I choose like one of these, when I'm going to align something, if I choose something where I like on one of the points, and then I come over here and I choose one of the points, it's actually going to line it and twist it and do weird things to line up those 2 points. So I don't want that. I don't want to randomly scatter everything, have to redo it. So the way I'm going to use the Align tool, I'm going to click the Align tool. I'm going to click somewhere that's not a point, so just out in a random place like up there, and do the same thing on this one. And what that does is it takes that piece and drops it back so that their faces are lined up, but it doesn't move it left or right or up or down, it just brings it straight back so they line up. Click OK. I'll show you in this next one how it works. So I'll align this one. I'll click here in a random space in the middle and here, and you'll see it snaps it back to it. And I'm just going to do that for every one. So I'm going to go align where I'm coming from to where I'm going. Align from this one to that one. Okay. Align from this one to that one. Okay. And now if you look at from the side, all of the ones on the right are now flat and perfectly on there. I'm asking, oh, nope, I got to do that one still too. So align this one to that one. Okay. Align this one to that one. Okay. Whoops. Align this one to that one. Align this one to that one. And I'm aligning all back to the same main object. You don't need to. I could align it because this one's lined up with this one. So I could align back to this one if I wanted to. But what I found is that sometimes when I do that, if I misalign one, all the ones I misalign off of it are all messed up as well. So if I do it all to the same object, at least any mistakes I made don't keep happening to future ones as well. So there's that. I'm actually turning the assembled one back on, and we can kind of see what the final thing looks like. So there's this assembled, and here's this broken down to be cut on the laser. Now we need to create the draw lines for the laser, and I will complete that one in the next video.